Geek Squad.
So funny. It's a few minutes after 7, and the show is Geek Squad. We're here to talk about technology. And synonymous with technology is a skill, a field of study, which a lot of people who go to university in Kumasi, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, go and study engineering, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm looking at you, Winston, because you went to tech.
yeah, I did.
What
I,
did you study at
I
tech?
studied aquaculture and water resources management.
Wow. What are you doing here?
Oh, so we know they take technology catch fish.
Maybe question asked.
So, I mean, people have different passions and
Yeah.
what they learn.
Michael, you didn't go to tech, so I'm not asking you.
Like,
You've been sidelined from the show for the past few weeks now.
eh? This is discrimination against my awesomeness.
But Dennis, you know,
Yes, Fairboy was also
Fairboy
there.
went to tech and he studied metallurgical engineering.
I thought he studied beans because that's all he talks about from tech.
That's what we all talk about.
Yeah, like
largely.
it's always go back.
Yeah, because Charlie, if not tried it, that's why, guys.
Anyway, Geek Squad is brought to you by MTN. Choose your own bundle your own way with MTN Flexi Bundles. Just dial *138# and enjoy bundles that don't expire. We're live on Facebook at Joy997FM. We're live on YouTube, Joy997FM. And you can tweet at us with the hashtag #JoyGeekSquad. And finally, you can send us a WhatsApp message. We're talking about the importance of engineering to society, studying engineering, or the role of engineering in society. You can send us a WhatsApp on 055 quadruple 1997 055 1111 997. Finally, 055 11 11 997. We will be speaking with Dr. Mensa Dakwa. He's a senior lecturer and head of department materials engineering department at the College of Engineering at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He's on the line right now, and we're going to go straight to him because really a lot of people need to know what the role of engineering is in society. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
Yes,
Good
a very
evening.
good evening to you.
Good evening to you and your lovely listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, I mean, we're just going to get straight onto it. It's interesting that you're one of the senior lecturers at the University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and engineering is a course that, I mean, anyone who loves technology would have at one point in their lives wanted to explore that field of study. I, for one, wished I had studied some sort of
Right.
engineering. Yeah, unfortunately, because of how our educational system is set up, I was forced into the arts, even though my passion was really technology.
Mhm.
But then I still found my way back. Some,
Somehow.
on the other hand, do find themselves studying engineering, but don't find themselves in the field of engineering after school. And it begs the question, what is engineering and what do engineers do?
Right. So, I'm grateful that you have me on your program. Engineers are professionals who invent or design. Sometimes we analyze or we build and test machines. Sometimes these might be some complex systems or structures and gadgets, and we use materials. But in all that we do, we try to fulfill some limitations in terms of the practicality of the design or the invention that we have made. We also need to look at regulations that govern these equipment that you're making, because there are rules and regulations of engagement. You have to look at safety and then the cost involved. You cannot just make anything because you want to make it. So,
Right.
in a nutshell, engineers apply knowledge from math and science to solve problems. We also try to design to minimize cost and enhance efficiency. And if you have ever thought of being an engineer, you will know that at some point in time, your main idea is that you want to find a problem and then find a solution to it.
Right.
So that is the way engineers think, and that is who engineers are. So we imagine, think new things, creative ways of doing things. So when you talk about medicine all the way to space travel, wherever there is a challenge, engineers are at hand.
Right.
And let me quickly address your point that, engineers don't find themselves in the field where they want to be, like core engineering. I mean, I want to pride myself by saying that when you are trained as an engineer, you should fit everywhere you find yourself. So that is the mantra. You don't necessarily have to be in the field of engineering, the core field, but wherever you find yourself, you have to bring to bear the knowledge that you have acquired from engineering.
That is brilliant. So you mentioned that engineers make use of the materials, and you're a materials engineer. You're in the materials engineering department,
Exactly.
and you're the head of that department.
Yes.
I want to touch on that. What does
Right.
it take for someone to become an engineer like you, who can take advantage of the materials that are around them, to create something or to find a solution, like you said?
Right. So let me talk about myself as a materials
Right.
engineer. So we, as materials engineers, want to look at the structure, the properties of a material, and how we can process it to a particular application or for a particular performance. And normally in our core business, we want to characterize the material. If you want to travel time and space to Mars, it's not the same materials that you're using here on Earth that you would use. You need to recreate some new materials that you have to do that with, right? So in engineering in general, we generally have to solve problems. So this is where my point of view comes from, that if I'm in materials, then I'm going to have to create a material that will solve a problem in the society. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to create a material that will solve the problem. Today, I was watching a review of a new laptop by Asus, and they used very durable materials. They said the materials that are made for space to withstand the kind of transporting people from here to space. So it's supposed to be very durable. Right now, I like what you mentioned about going to Mars, not having to use the same materials that we use here. So does this mean that an engineer like you would have to come up with a different material from something that already exists? Like you're going to put something together to create something.
Exactly.
Oh,
so
that's what
when
it
we are
is.
studying the structure of the material,
Okay.
and we're looking at the properties, what we are trying to do is to also find a processing method where we can put together some of the materials to meet a particular application or performance.
Right.
So you study the structure, you look at the properties that you have, then you find ways to process it differently so that you would bring up a new kind of performance from the material. So you would have the same alloy, but when you mix it up with a different metal, you're going to have a situation where the material now can withstand a lot of heat. During re-entry back into the surface of the Earth through the atmosphere, you would be able to withstand that kind of heat. So you would have to use materials that are available now to recreate new materials. And sometimes these could be materials that are just indigenous. They exist already, but we haven't been able to characterize the properties as tailored to a particular performance or application. So once you are able to characterize it to say that these are the chemical properties, these are the physical properties, these are the mechanical properties, then you can tailor it to a particular application or performance.
Right. This is very interesting. I was actually about to talk about alloys, and then he mentioned it because I remember watching the process of making titanium, and all along I thought, oh, titanium is there. It's just there. Then I saw that it was an actual process it had to go through.
Very tedious.
And I was amazed and very impressed. So this is something like, it's an example of what you're talking about, right, Dr. Menta?
Yes, 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 exactly so, exactly so. So in this same vein, in the field of materials, we do have metallurgical engineers who would simply, if you want me to go to a layman's term, they will go and take soil and out of the soil come up with aluminum. So that is the well for me. It started at a very young age. You know, I have a big brother, and whenever when we're kids, our parents will buy us toys, and basically every time his toys become spare parts for mine,
Mm.
because in the first few hours of us having the toys, you know, basically I'm going to break mine down because I want to know how it works,
Yeah.
and when I want to put it back together, his toy becomes my spare part. So I'm going to break his down as well and then put it together. But you know, curiosity for me has kept me on the track, and for the most part, I was the wreckage rap of the family. Uh, Everything that comes into the house, it's either you buy another, or I'm just going to break it up and
Mm.
later try to fix it. It has been right from the beginning for me. But as I developed and I realized that I was more interested in the STEM courses, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you
Mhm.
know, I developed that interest. And in fact, mathematics is the foundation for nearly everything we do as engineers. And currently, computer programming is becoming increasingly a vital tool
Mm.
for our work. So, um, to become an engineer, if I have to, you know, move forward with this, I have to study physics, chemistry, math, and to some extent biology.
Right.
But I want to also extend that there are other courses that I could have taken to become an engineer. As applied electricity, that is at my high school level.
Mhm.
Applied electricity, geography, technical drawing, metal work, or auto mechanics. But I am actually a trained mechanical engineer who, along the line, decided to veer off into materials development.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So which high school did you attend?
I attended Ghana National College, Cape Coast.
Nice. And then
Yeah.
after that?
I came to KNUST, did mechanical engineering at the College of Engineering.
Cool.
And I guess you want to know more. After that,
Yes.
I moved to British American Tobacco. That was in Takrady as logistics support, and then also as a production planner.
Mm.
And then I left BAT and joined Nestle Ghana as a production planner also for a while. And then I felt industry was a little bit monotonous for me. I wanted some challenge. So I went back to school to do my PhD
Right.
in mechanical engineering. But you would have heard me talk about materials a lot because it was my research area that
Okay.
was in materials engineering. And I fell in love with that. So eventually I moved in that direction.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, you said a lot of things that I'm sure me and the Geek Squad over here can relate with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Mm-hmm.
tinkering parts, the wrecking Ralph for the family. I'm sure all of
Yes.
us, Michael is deep in thoughts because he's remembering all the times that he did that.
And it's not remembering. I'm not thinking back. I'm planning ahead because rather than thinking, oh, what have I broken? Like those things, it's mean I'm thinking, what can I break further? Because you guys talk about what you call it, for example, space flights and the materials to make that. Like, well, if space craft coming back from outer space needs a heat shield and needs to be strong and durable and light, that will make a great material for an oven, which I do need to fix. So, I mean, if you hear stories about me at SpaceX, what you call it,
Gathering, salvaging.
taking out spare parts from their
Right.
exit depot,
Right.
then don't ask questions. Like, just pay for my luggage to bring it back so I can fix my
Come and
oven.
making ovens.
But
Yeah, and, so I'll get a lot because after I'm done with that, you also get a new under tray for your car, Spiky.
Exactly.
But you know,
Exactly.
it's
And
very
as you
interesting
work
that
on
we're
all
talking.
these materials, you look at other applications that
Right.
I mean you can use them for. Yeah.
But it's very interesting we're talking about material engineering, because Michael and I have been talking about a very interesting challenge, which I would like to ask you in teaching students about material engineering, or even just engineering in general. What are some of the challenges you face? Because Michael and I see so many things we would like to build, and then we are like, where are we going to get these parts?
Where do you start
That's
from?
the problem. Where do you start from?
Yeah, where do you? No, it's not even where you start. I mean, typically we start from watching a YouTube video, and we see
get the
that
idea.
we get the idea. We see what
Exactly.
materials we
Exactly.
need. Then the question
Exactly.
is, idea bubulushi? No. So, what are the challenges you faced in teaching? Because teaching is not only verbal; there are some practical aspects. So, what challenges
Right.
do you typically face?
So, in teaching engineering, let me make it general now. You know, I would say that here, the way we teach engineering means that you would take up a lot of theoretical work right from the first year, second year, and third year. And most of the final year would be adequate practical work that will make you ready for the workforce. The only difference I see here, and I would compare it to the medical students, is that you see that after their 4 years, they would go into housemanship, go and practice under a doctor for 2 years, where they actually learn the trade by basically apprenticeship, if you want to put it that way. We don't have that ability. So when an engineer graduates from KNUST, I would say that you don't expect the person to be building for you an innovative machine, but I expect the person to have that knowledge base to quickly get into industry, learn as quickly as possible, and be useful to the industry. So what we have here in terms of our practical work are some limitations because we don't have all the equipment we want to have. But when I left the shores of Ghana, and there are some machines I had only seen in pictures, and even those times YouTube was not that popular for me. When I got there and I saw the machines, it was an eye-opener for me. When I was going through the training to learn how to use those machines, the theory was already at the back of my fingers. So there was no need for me to bother about the theory. What I needed to bother about was how to get this machine to work the way I want it to work. So we do have some challenges here, but I can tell you we are scaling it and we are doing the best that we can do. Currently, I will also say that in general, we have the biggest challenge as the SDGs that we have to work towards. So in terms of teaching engineering, you want to make sure you are touching on something on the climate crisis. You're looking at making water clean and accessible. You're also looking at providing food, no hunger, cyber security. You want to talk about improving healthcare, affordable clean energy. So the SDGs are actually our biggest challenge going into the 21st, 22nd century, as we should look at.
Right. So I have another question for you. So typically we see on social media a lot of people just getting up. Like people, me, Spiky, I'm sure you've seen this. They'll be like, so why can't our students of KNUST build this? Now you've explained why this is the situation. It's not that there's an inability, there's just a lack of material. So how do you typically feel when you see these comments, and is there anything you'd like to tell the public concerning making such statements?
Sometimes when I see it, it's really sad. I feel like people are walking around and they are not appreciating anything engineering. I mean, let's pick any 3 good companies in Ghana now. Go to VRA. If I am not bragging, 99.99% of the engineers are from KNUST. You have light every day. You should appreciate that they are doing something there. You go to ECG, Ghana Water Company. We do have engineers who are at the top level, managing our systems and getting us to work. If you apply our roads, you go through Pokwasi now, this interchange I mean, it's an engineering edifice. You have to appreciate that. But I mean, when people make that comment, I'm not so much of a social media person. I don't want that to bother me too much. But I wish they would come around and interact with us and know the worth of knowledge we have here that we also want to give to the nation. Engineers from KNUST would definitely, come to bear as the country grows, and we know that whatever is inbuilt in us is what is delivering for the nation now. Obviously, there is more to be done because their statement is very much comparing. They will tell you kids at China are making toys. What are engineers at KNUST doing? Or they will tell you someone at Swami has made this machine. What is KNUST doing? KNUST has only done one vehicle. I watched a video like that, Boafo, and it never moved. All these are misconceptions. I mean, you need to interact with us, and then you can really feel what engineers have contributed to the nation.
Right. So, I mean, what Winston said is actually very true. A lot of people, the misconception a lot of people have when they hear engineers is, they only think most of the time about just cars.
Yes.
I think it's not only cars, like just robots.
Because I remember a friend of mine studied engineering, mechanical engineering in KNUST, and he had a problem with this guy, and my friends used to troll him and say, so all the mechanical engineering he learned in school, he can't fix his own car. I'm like, but he doesn't have the tools.
No.
But the interesting thing is,
apart from that, he's a trained engineer. He's not a mechanic.
Right.
These are two different fields and two different expertise.
Aha.
Yes.
So you heard that. There's a difference between a mechanic and a trained engineer. There are two different fields and two different expertise. So if your friend went to school and studied mechanical engineering and he has a problem with his fan belts, don't go and tell him he's going to fix it himself.
You know the worst part. Sometimes they just hear you did engineering, so they don't
I'm expecting the engineer to be able to tell you that I have a problem with my fan belt. It could be this, it could be that. But removing it, fixing it, the mechanic is the man to go to, and he's going to do the right job for you. By the way, engineers from KNUST also want to interact with these mechanics because basically we have to work together if we have to build the same thing.
Yeah.
The engineer is designing the product, the mechanic is putting it together and making sure it works. It's a win-win situation for us if we don't put our heads together. If they don't put our heads together, so to say.
Yeah. I mean, we've experienced an engineer who's come out of tech and is doing brilliant. Lloyd.
Oh, yeah, Lloyd. Yeah.
Lloyd.
He's killing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, people just need to know. You can send us a message on WhatsApp at 055 1111997 055 11 11 997. Before you, Winston, you've been raising up your hand like you're in primary school. And Doc, so when Doc was speaking, he mentioned that in the beginning, the interest, all the tinkering and stuff, wanting to find a solution for problems.
Right.
That's
right.
like something. So at this point, I think I can call myself an aspiring engineer because I'm always looking for solutions.
So
to
go
problems.
back to tech.
Is it not too late?
Well, aspiring engineer is okay.
Yes.
But to call yourself a professional engineer, you need a little bit more.
Right. So I'm aspiring. I'm not going for much.
I will give that to you. I don't think that will cost you anything.
Great. Good evening, sir. It's quite difficult to define the role of engineers in society. The simplest definition is to define everything around us, from the structures around us, buildings, airports, railways, roads, highways, hospitals, theaters, harbors, etc., etc. It would be misleading to think about engines when defining engineering. That's Albert from Tema. And
that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
It would be a long list if you just simply want to define engineering.
Absolutely. At the mention of your name, mathematics, I don't bend my knee. I frown. The only mathematics I know best is business money. This math wahala, if it's not given to you from heaven, forget. That's from Sly. Now that's one problem, Doc, that we've had with people who want to study
mathematics,
mathematics. Like
engineering.
maths scares people.
I have a first-hand story about this where I had a very bad injury when I was in boarding school, so I was out of school for like 5 weeks, and this when we started elective math fresh. I come back and I see alpha, gamma, twist. I'm like, what's going on? So for the entirety of my time, because my foundation was so unstable, I never quite got elective math.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people are always running away. So great show, Spiky. First time texter and long time listener. His attitude towards engineers not like Sheldon towards Howard. Mike from DC. Mike, thanks for that. Michael, why?
Sorry, Big Bang references cause me to get slightly sick.
Well, I have one question for you, Doc.
Yes.
Do you think Ghanaians need a reintroduction or a re-education of what engineering is? Like Albert talked about that the scope of what engineering is very vast. Like, for instance, it's something I always have a problem with, where I know like people are going to build houses and they are like, oh, let's go and get not even an architect, go and get a draftsman because of cost, and that's fine. And I'm like, but there's something called structural engineering. A civil engineer needs to take a look at your house to make sure that whatever this draftsman has drawn. But when people hear engineering, they think it's robots and car and
So I think I get you. So the question probably is, shouldn't we start educating ourselves about engineering earlier? Like maybe junior high school, rather than, because I know a lot of people end up in university before they learn anything about engineering.
Exactly.
Senior high school, there's barely much taught about engineering.
I beg to differ a little bit on that.
Right.
I think at the junior, even from the junior high school, see, we don't want to make it plain and say this is engineering. But if you are learning Newton's laws of motion, those laws feed into what we call statics.
Right.
Statics feed into what we call mechanics of machines. So you are actually building that fundamental block of knowing what Newton was thinking and how it feeds through all this process. So when you get to the university and we're talking about mechanics of machines and telling you how these forces are applied and how we resolve the forces, you would get that fundamental basis before you would get this understanding. So the interaction for us is that we are actually doing some form of engineering training right from the junior high school. We are not calling it mechanical engineer because you haven't looked at, the hardcore applications. But you are actually looking at some form of engineering right from that point. I know I've read somewhere that, let's introduce some form of engineering for our high school or for our junior secondary schools. They're already doing some form of engineering. We are only going to redefine it, and it is not going to bring any different aspects of it. I think the way we are teaching engineering is in the right direction. If you ask me, they are building from the junior high, the senior high, and then at the university, they look at the applications and how they can design with that knowledge.
Right. So, good evening, Spiky. That's a very interesting discussion today. Good enlightenment from Doctor, and sorry to him and his students for all our wrong misconceptions. That's Gorgeous Adole from Tishi. Yes, Gorgeous, thank you very much. Mr. Nkrumah, Kobby, Spiky, General, where is the main source of engineering? Why don't they do more practical and theory? Can we compare Ghanaian engineering and USA engineering? Why don't government invest more in engineering? And should we trust our engineering more than those outside engineering? That's Douglas from DC with his hashtag. I know what's supposed to be there, even though he puts dot. Yes. So, Doc, before you answer Douglas's question, we'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll answer Douglas's question, and then we'll take some more comments on WhatsApp. We'll be right back.
Show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year.
A bit me a casa saying,
Nana, goods not land you. He did the pot right here.
a bit me a susi.
Here are your items. Thank you for coming.
Ebetimi akasa saying.
Yes, 2 for 10 cedi. Me and 10 cedi. 2 for 10 cedi.
Wajadi no ebetimi akodani. Emfa wo business aweyo. The biara wo bia. Your hasi ebeboa. MTN Business make you enable your business stay ahead of the pack. Shushayen ewo mtnbusiness.gh at mtn.com. Fre ana wasabi yen ewo 0244 308 111. Na yichire wo MTN everywhere you go.
And welcome back. SIM card registration. All MTN SIM cards in Ghana must be registered again with only the Ghana card. Failure to register your SIM card means that you will not be able to make voice calls, use mobile money services, internet, or all other services linked to your MTN SIM card. To register, dial star 404 hash and follow the prompts. When you dial star 404 hash, you'll be required to send the following details on your Ghana card PIN number, your surname, your first name, or your first names if there's more than one, your date of birth, your gender, and then you will receive a code with which you present to MTN customer care service for your biometric details to be captured. Please note that the registration is free and you will not be required to make any payments. It's the Ghana month and your superstation Joy 99.7 presents another groundbreaking edition of Showbiz A to Z live from the Ashanti region, the heartbeat of cultural tourism. Get ready as Showbiz A to Z, your favorite entertainment talk show, takes you on a journey of discovery in the Ashanti region. Come feel the rich culture and tradition of the people of Asanteman like never before and explore all the magnificent tourist destinations in the beautiful garden city of Kumasi. Showbiz A to Z will unravel the mystery and untold stories of the Asante Kingdom, as well as discuss the evolution of the Ashanti Kingdom and her contribution to tourism and the creative space at large. The date is the 5th of March 2022. The venue is the Center for National Culture, Kumasi. Showbiz A to Z on Joy FM is powered by Joy Entertainment. We are large and in charge, and it's supported by Dancy Travels and Micklin Hotel. And we're back to talking about engineering. Send your WhatsApp messages to 055 11 11 997, 055 11 11 997, 055 quadruple 1 997. So Douglas was asking, should we trust our engineering more than those outside? And why doesn't government invest more in engineering? And if we can compare Ghanaian engineering, I think that's the same as the first question. Yeah. And why do they do more practical than theory? I remember someone said they were writing code on paper.
Yeah. So if I may ask Douglas, if an engineer, a Ghanaian engineer comes back from the US, would he trust that engineer? That engineer most likely would have gone through our system here, trained in Ghana before going to the US for further studies, and they come back. You see, the truth is that we do have some shortfalls, but we compensate a lot with the theory. That is a fact. If we cannot get you the practical know-how here, we cannot conjure it. I mean, the government has done all it can do to get us the equipment. But if you don't have it, you need to still make sure that you are strong where you are weak in terms of where you build your strength where you are weak.
Right.
So we look at making sure that the theoretical background is good. In fact, I mean, we have had several students who have left this shores and they have gone out there and they are making great things. It is not, you need to understand that the fundamentals that they got here is what has pushed them there. If the fundamentals was not that good, they will not be able to make it there. So I do share with what Douglas is saying. We do have some shortfalls, but we are working on that. Like you said, that you write a code on paper. It's all again something that you cannot always push through. But see, the university is making a lot of effort. Recently, the Vice Chancellor received one laptop, one student, and companies are donating, and that is improving for us. We know that now we're getting students who didn't have access to these equipment. They are having it. They can now practice for real if they have to write a code. So we are on the right path. I mean, we are not up there with the West, but we have picked the right path and we are heading for them. As to if when engineers, should we trust engineers from Ghana or engineers from the US? Look, if you walk around every day, there is something built by a Ghanaian engineer that you are actually using to fulfill your day. Right. I think you need to appreciate that. That is very important. And then we encourage the engineers here to also do more. And that is what we need to look at.
Wonderful. So, Doc, I want to know, are there engineering jobs or careers in Ghana? Because, as I mentioned earlier, some of the people who study engineering end up not pursuing, not all of them, but some. And when you ask them, when you interview them, I had a little bit of a chat with some of them prior to the show, and the questions of them say, besides VRA, like you mentioned, and a couple of other places, it's like it's limited to only certain industries. And what if they want to work in a certain industry, like let's say someone wants to pursue a career in solar technology? That area is not like it's not an area you can pursue in Ghana. So are there careers or jobs specific to Ghana, or you can pursue any of them in Ghana? You just need to position yourself well.
I like that last statement. You just need to position yourself well. I mean, that was going to be my starting statement, and you put right out of my mouth. Look, jobs or careers must be created by us. We need to figure out how to create these jobs. I have a little challenge there. I was going to Google or check on LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn, I think I did that with one of my peers a couple of weeks back.
Right.
There were 400, just search job, engineering, Ghana, something like that. There were 400 engineering jobs that were being advertised on LinkedIn. And on that particular day, I think there were over 40 new ones that had been added.
Wow.
The careers are there. You have to position yourself. I mean, some of our students get opportunity to intern for some companies. When you get there, prove your worth. Come up with innovative ways of accomplishing something. There are other engineers there who will look at you and know that this person has that prospect. So I think yes, there are some engineering jobs available. You have to repackage yourself sometimes. That day when we looked online, there wasn't anything like a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer needed here. But you see stuff like a production engineer. So you want to ask yourself, how do I fit in a production company? You will see stuff like a quality assurance engineer. So you ask yourself, I have finished mechanical engineering. How do I become a quality assurance engineer? And all these are interdisciplinary, so you can move around.
Right.
Project managers. So there are jobs that are available. But I can tell you that there are some very scarce jobs. So, for example, if you go into, say, we don't do nuclear engineering here, but let's say you come back to Ghana with a degree in nuclear engineering. Yes, we are not into that field in terms of producing energy using that technology. Yeah. So you would be excess here. But that is the opportunity. That is the opportunity. How can you lobby government or lobby the social the system so that we can look at such energy producing prospects? So even though the jobs might not be there, you have to position yourself in order for you to attract those kind of jobs into the country. So there are jobs. And I also want to say that when I worked in Nestle, in my particular department, I think I could count up to 6 of us who were engineers. And our core duty was not what you would say engineering, but we were actually in a supporting staff where when the engineers speak, we understood it. So it was easy for us to interpret it to the marketing staff and the sales team. And that connection was never broken. So when we are training engineers here, unlike, say, medical school or pharmacy where they know exactly where they are going, when we are training engineers here, we really want them to be versatile so that they can fit anywhere. We have engineers working in the banking sector. I have friends personally who finished with me who are in the banking sector, and they are doing marvelous. I believe that it is the fundamentals of engineering that will give them that opportunity to do that kind of work. So we do have a lot of jobs available in the country.
Great. So good evening, Kobby. Why do the engineering students always behave as though they study the hardest course in uni? They barely participate in other social activities. That's rookie inside Hacho. Doc, is that true? Like, is this the hardest course in uni?
Well, I don't want to give examples, but I can give you some lecturers who would give you work day after day after day after day. So it will keep you on your toes. But I think the medical students are the ones who spend a lot of time on that.
Okay. So we've got a very interesting message here. Good evening. My name is Kwame Dakwa. I'm Dr. Mensa Dakwa's brother. He still owes me some toys.
Oh!
But I'm glad for what he has become. By the way, I'm also an engineer. Ahafo Anu North Municipal and Assembly. Oh, wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Doc, you owe your brother some toys.
I will get it for him. I will get it for him.
So it's an engineering family because he's also an engineer.
Yeah, and my father is also an engineer.
Yeah, it runs in the family then. Wonderful. So Sly says, I studied marine engineering at Maritime Uni. The rest is history. I don't even know where the certificate is, man. I'm into something different. Okay, that was funny. So he doesn't know where his certificate is. And hi guys, the practical side of engineering in Ghana is very bad. I did HND at Accra Poly from 1995 to 1998 and a Bachelor of Science at KNUST. At Accra Poly, the practical tools and equipment were new, but never opened for the 3 years I was there. This is Kwesi Bentel. I'm an engineer in full-time solar now, and I did electrical engineering. Wow. Now, that is a case that we usually see in Ghana. Men found Sanka, so we cover it for 3 years. Doc, why is that? Why is that a case?
Oh God, you see, when these equipments come in, we tend to build a fetish around them. It's like, this is so new, and but it depends. It depends the users and those who are available. I can tell you that currently we get new equipment in KNUST. The next day we are all over it, getting it to work for us. So sometimes, the scarcity of it puts some fear in us that once we have gotten this, let's maintain it in its state and form. And so we stop students from using it. But most of the times, the lecturers, who need it for some research work will use it. But it would be the students that would stay away from it for a while. And then once it gets a little used, then we bring them back onto it. But look, I can tell you now, a couple of years back, maybe 2-3 years, engineering got a whole lot of equipment, and they are all in use. Every one of them is in use now. Yes, by students too.
Great. I want to hear a lot more from the engineers. So engineers who are listening, please send us your messages 055 11 11 997 055 quadruple 1997 055 1111997. All those who were spoiling their brother's toys and their own toys, and all those who are anticipating spoiling people's toys, send us messages. We're talking about engineering today on Geek Squad. Spiky, can the doctor answer if GH has the resources to produce microchips too, looking at the global shortage?
Yeah, that's actually a question I wanted to ask because of his being a material engineer.
So, Doc,
please repeat that again. I missed.
Yes, so there's a global shortage in semiconductors. So the listener was asking, Mike from DC was asking if Ghana has the resources to produce microchips too.
Okay, so in terms of resources, I would say that two forms. In terms of knowledge-based resource, we have it.
Right.
In terms of equipment, we would have a shortfall, or we have a shortfall, because in this semiconductor industry, I mean, you're dealing with thin films of some few microns or nanometer. You need clean rooms. You need thermal deposition systems that will give you these films, and lithography methods. In fact, since I left PhD, I haven't done any lithography methods. But since I've been in Ghana, I haven't done that before, but I know how to do it. So all the whole thing is that the knowledge base is here. If the equipment is here, we would be able to do it. In terms of material, I have to say that some of the materials that are used for these, especially the most abundant, the silicon for making the chips, it's not something we mine in Ghana. We don't get silicon. So it would be, again, another importation of these raw materials if you want to go through this kind of manufacturing. But look, the knowledge base is here. If we have the expertise is here, if we have that zeal to bring the technology here, it is possible. It is doable.
Great. So it's possible, it's doable. We have the knowledge. There's a few. Okay, I've got a message here. Hi, Spiky. Are all engineers supposed to go through GHIE? That's Ken at Legon. I have no idea what GHIE is.
The Ghana Institution of Engineers.
Right.
I mean, let me say that I don't speak for GHIE. I'm a member.
Right.
Currently, I think there is going to be a bill that is going to come out, and that would force engineers, not force, but if you want to practice engineering, if you want to win some contracts, if you want to do some work, you have to be under GHIE because they regulate engineering practice in the country. And again, it's a good way to interact with engineers. There are programs that they organize to train people, so you have some capacity building that is going on over there. So it is good to join GHIE and then also learn from other engineers. Network, build your network, and interact with engineers. So yes, you can work as an engineer without joining, but I would advise you that you join GHIE in order to get certification sometimes to do some kind of work.
Friday is World Engineering Day, and what do you think our listeners should be doing to appreciate engineers on World Engineering Day?
I just want our listeners to walk around, just walk around and appreciate the engineering inventions and innovations that make their day. You will not simply, they shouldn't just simply say that, is this made in Ghana or not? But look, there are a whole lot of gadgets and engineering stuff that we are using that necessarily are not made in Ghana, but there are engineers that are from Ghana that have their fingerprints on it. I had a chance to speak to some high school students, and we're discussing these fiber optics, and I was telling them, look, what you're using is practically a Ghanaian's idea, Dr. Thomas Mensah, and you enjoy it and think this is all coming from the West. But it is a Ghanaian's idea that brought up fiber optics, and that is, cutting across all this industrial revolution in terms of information technology. So please, walk around, appreciate what engineers have done, and we would continue to do our best to develop Ghana.
Right. Thank you very much, and well, we'd like you to wish all engineers a happy World Engineering Day on behalf of Geek Squad. And
yes, I am happy to connect with you all on this special day, which is the 4th of March, World Engineering Day. Together, let's march forth for a sustainable future. The theme is that we build back wiser, and this is the engineering for the future. I wish you all a happy Engineering Day on behalf of Geek Squad.
Thank you very much, Doc. We've been speaking to Dr. Mensa Darkwa, a senior lecturer and head of department, Materials Engineering Department at the College of Engineering at KNUST. And this has been Geek Squad talking about the role of engineers in society. My name is Kobby, Spiky, Nkrumah. I've been here with Michael Ajete at Majete and Winston Watcher at Mr. Watcher. My name, I've already mentioned my name, the real Spiky. So I'll catch you. Thank you, my producer Prince. Thank you, Abeku Sankofia. Thank you, Dennis the Fairboy, our resident engineer. I'll catch you next week